Just to go back a moment to your previous life as a Democrat, you had a very famous sort of viral moment in a presidential debate against Kamala Harris where you kind of called her out.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California, and she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
I think a lot of people...
That actually was a pretty good zinger. I mean, in a Democratic primary, it's like, you can't be acting super tough on crime. You just can't. You need to be more pro-rehabilitation. You can't be locking people up like that. So that was a good line from Tulsi Gabbard in the Democratic primary.
Look at that moment and they say, is that the moment that Tulsi Gabbard started to maybe change her view on things? Was that part of your political conversion, that moment?
That whole experience of running for president in the Democratic primary in 2020, that really exposed the Democrat Party's focus on things that did not matter to the American people. I go back to 2016 when President Trump was elected, and how very quickly the Democrat Party leadership, the party that I once joined that fought for free speech, that stood up for civil liberties, a party that had many voices who called for peace instead of war, they very quickly flipped the script because now all they cared about was defeating Donald Trump and silencing those who supported him. And so
they're a political party. They try to defeat the other political party. Both political parties are, in a sense, a corporation. So the Democratic Party is going to try to defeat the Republican Party. Donald Trump is the leader of the Republican Party. That is why they're trying to defeat him. Also, she keeps saying Democrat Party. She doesn't even know her former party's name. It's the Democratic Party. There is no such thing as the Democrat Party. That's a rhetorical trick used by far-right wingers. They'll say Democrat Party because it ends with rat. So it's like, oh yeah, they're bad, they're rats. Yeah, Democrats, get it?
The erosion, the shift in the Democratic Party ultimately made it so that I had to leave the Democrat Party. It was completely unrecognizable from the party that I had joined over 20 years before.
I think a lot of people watched.
That is a garbage explanation for why she left the Democratic Party. Just because they wanted to defeat Trump. Like, okay, so you just liked Trump better than them to begin with, and then you left them because they went after Trump? Like, really? And no, the Democratic Party has not become pro-war. That's a load of nonsense. They are not more pro-war than the Republican Party. Look at what Trump's doing with Greenland and Panama. Tulsi Gabbard, do you have anything to say about those two issues? How about Mexico? How about his talk about sending troops to the Mexican border, sending a ground invasion into Mexico for the cartels? You've got nothing to say on that. The Democratic Party has plenty of problems. There were problems with foreign policy under Biden and Obama's presidency, no doubt about that. But Trump brings far more baggage in terms of foreign policy and in terms of war than either Biden or Obama.
That whole process, and they said these people have learned nothing. They are ranting and raving out there about transparency, about saving taxpayer dollars, about the American people actually understanding what is going on.
I was with President Trump when I was sworn in the Oval Office, and something that he said that day really struck home, because he talked about needing to have people in our government who care. And so when I asked myself, how is it the Democrat Party still hasn't heard the voices of the American people who are sick and tired of our taxpayer dollars being wasted?
As it turns out, some of those taxpayer dollars are already being saved under Tulsi's tenure.
So you were confirmed, and then 6 o'clock the next morning, you're on an airplane, and it's been a rapid pace. Has there been anything that surprised you that you didn't expect so far? I mean, is DOJ involved in what you're doing?
The ODNI itself is a pretty small organization compared to most other elements, but even in that small organization, getting rid of DEI saved American taxpayers roughly $20 million.
Total hoax.
Literally with the stroke of President Trump's pen. Just in my organization alone is a great thing, and we're excited to be able to uncover more.
Yeah, we'll take that for sure.
Now, solidly on President Trump's team, she's making clear common sense is making a comeback.
Joe Biden once said that white supremacy was the single greatest terrorist threat to our homeland. What do you feel is the greatest threat to the American people's safety?
We look at the last 4 years of open borders.
What on earth is she talking about? There are no open borders. There were no open borders. Joe Biden did not open the border. Joe Biden was tough on the border, just like his former boss, Barack Obama. Barack Obama, of course, being known as the deporter-in-chief. This is just insane misinformation. And what a deflection from the problem of white supremacy. Look, sometimes Democrats over-exaggerate the threat of white supremacy, but if you're going to pivot to the open border, the so-called open border, I mean, what is there to say? This is total nonsense. And yes, white supremacist terrorist attacks are more common than immigrant terrorist attacks. So Tulsi Gabbard, again, is wrong about that. The facts back up the idea that white supremacy is actually one of the biggest terror threats in America. Just look at what happened at Charlottesville. That car attack on Heather Heyer killing her. I mean, it's insane. The whataboutism, the cope, and she still has not explained why she shifted from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. My best guess is that it's because the Democrats were mean to her. That's it. Very, very shallow high school stuff. If you agree more with these people, you should stay with them. It doesn't matter how they treat you. You know, I left the left because they were mean to me. Boo-hoo. You were never a true leftist to begin with. You were never a true Democrat to begin with. Shameful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. The Morris, the merrier is always here for you. And I will speak to you in my next video.